The 30 Years' War was the most destructive conflict in the history of Europe, with an estimated 4.5 to 8 million deaths due to its harvest effect. The war that began as a local religious war within the Holy Roman Empire evolved into a massive struggle for political preeminence, which involved nearly every major European power. The 30 Years' War was fought primarily in Europe, and it was sparked by the 16th century Reformation of Prague, when Protestant nobles threw Catholic officials out of a castle window in Prague. This action sparked a rebellion that escalated into a wider and much deadlier conflict. The attack of Protestant reformers on the Catholic Church led to radical changes in religious practices in Europe. It led to a religious division in Europe in the late 16th century. By the mid 16th century, Lutheranism had become established in Germany and Scandinavia, and Calvinism in Switzerland. The so-called wars of religion were a product of Reformation ideologies that allowed little room for compromise or toleration of differing opinions. By the middle of the 16th century, Calvinism, that is the Reformation ideology, and Catholicism had become highly militant religions, and they were dedicated to spreading the word of God as they both deemed fit. And this led to an era of religious war in Europe. Religion, especially the struggle between a militant Catholicism and a militant Calvinism, certainly played an important role in the outbreak of the 30 Years' War, which is also known as the last of the religious war. As the war progressed, it became increasingly clear that secular, dynastic, nationalist considerations were far more important. What began as a struggle over religious issues soon became a wider conflict perpetuated by political consideration as both minor and major European powers, such as Denmark, Sweden, France, and Spain, joined the war. And by 1635, the war became a battle to maintain the balance of power rather than a religious war. Germany suffered the most from the 30 Years' War. This is because most of the war were fought on German soil, and it left devastating effects for the German people. Now, here are the phases of the war. Phase 1 is the Bohemian phase between 1618 to 1625. This is when the Protestant forces in Bohemia rebelled against Catholic rule, but they were eventually defeated. The second phase is the Danish phase between 1625 to 1629. This is when Christian IV of Denmark, the then King of Denmark, intervened to support Protestants but was unsuccessful at it. The third phase was the Swedish phase between 1630 to 1635, where Gustavus Adolphus entered the war and achieved significant victories before his death. The third phase was the French phase between 1635 to 1648. This is when Catholic France joined on the Protestant side to weaken its rivals, the Habsburg, showing that political interests often overweigh religion. The 30 Years' War reshaped Europe politically and religiously. It weakened the Holy Roman Empire and also reduced the influence of religious authority in politics, paving the way for modern diplomacy and international relations. An increased use of firearms and better disciplined and trained armies, and the rivalry war between the Holy Roman Empire and France and the Habsburg dynasty of Spain came to an end.